KK's Priest is back on the road with nobody else but Accept, with what many thought would be one of the best classic heavy metal tours of the year.
Can you believe that?
So let's take a look at this tour and its production, discuss some interesting things about its setlist, and then talk about what we may expect from KK's Priest in the future, given the recent news from the Judas Priest camp the fans have been waiting for 50 years. Here you go.
Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law.
Real quick, before we start guys, as always, please do not hesitate to comment on anything you hear or see in this video, and especially if you disagree with me, because the whole point of this channel is of course to start a conversation. But alright, let's do it. The bands kicked off their Full Metal Assault 2024 tour with a show at the legendary Whiskey A Go Go in West Hollywood, California on August 31st. And just as it was anticipated, at least until today, it is Accept who are opening the show and KK's Priest closing the night with their 15-song setlist. Now, when it comes to Accept, their setlist did not bring pretty much any surprises, as it basically is the abridged 13-song long version of what they played during their European summer run, comprising of some of their biggest hits from the 80s, such as Metal Heart or, of course, Balls to the Wall, and quite a bunch of songs from the Mark Tornillo era, including the 3 tracks from their latest studio output, Humanoid, those being the title track, Straight Up Jack, and The Reckoning, all 3 of which, in all honesty, fit quite well with the band's classic material. But when it comes to KK's Priest, the situation here becomes a bit less predictable. Now, on all of the shows in the United States, at least so far, KK Downing and the boys played 15 songs a night, with 9, well, I guess technically being the covers on Judas Priest, and 6 originals, 3 from the band's debut album, the opener Hellfire Thunderbolt, Raise Your Fists, and the title track Sermons of the Sinner, and 3 from KK's Priest's sophomore album, The Sinner Rides Again, those being One More Shot at Glory, Reap the Whirlwind, and Strike of the Viper. And here's the thing, and I know that I said it before, but I really hope that as more time passes, KK's Priest will start including more and more of their originals in the setlist. As, first of all, these are the tracks the fans go out to see live in the first place. And secondly, well, if the band is to include some Judas Priest songs, I'd really hope for more Juggulator and Demolition tracks in addition to Burn in Hell, which has become a staple at all of the band's shows, as that will be our only chance to hear those tracks live, and I really don't think that any fan would mind KK's Priest swapping some of the Judas Priest classics with, let's say, Cathedral Spires, which was written specifically for Tim Ripper Owens. But anyways, talking about Judas Priest classics, an interesting thing here is that on this leg of the tour, KK's Priest have added the song Sinner and Diamonds and Rust to their show. And as you know, Sinner has also been performed live by Judas Priest on this tour, becoming the 3rd song which the fans can catch live performed by both KK's Priest and Judas Priest. In some cases, just a couple of days apart in the same area. And when it comes to Diamonds and Rust, an interesting observation is that on this tour, KK's Priest performed a slower ballad version of the song, and not the one with which Judas Priest became famous in the 70s. And although this version of course has been performed live gazillion times in the 21st century, it has actually first been performed live by Tim Ripper Owens, roughly 25 years ago. So I actually think that it is really cool that the boys decided to perform this alternative version of the John Baez cover, instead of the one which most people know for almost 50 years now. And other than that, the KK's Priest setlist has been pretty much exactly what you would expect a KK's Priest setlist to be in 2024. Yet, I can't really say for sure that it won't change in the very near future. Now, in case you still don't know about it, but today Judas Priest have finally announced what the fans have been kind of waiting for almost 50 years now. Wait, not almost, exactly 50 years now. A proper remix of the band's debut album Rocka Rolla, released in 1974. Yeah, the same one that we've gotten gazillion remasters for already, but for the very first time ever, we will finally get a proper remix of this record done by nobody else but the legendary Tom Allen himself. And now, I don't actually intend to talk about this Rocka Rolla 50th anniversary edition in this particular episode, for one simple reason, that we will talk about it in the next episode in way more details. But I just want to point out that it would simply make a lot, and I mean really a lot, of sense for both Judas Priest and the KK Priest camps to promote this reissue as much as possible. And I don't know about you, but given the fact that Rocka Rolla is one of the most overlooked albums in metal overall, the songs from this album are the ones which I would definitely not mind for both Judas Priest and KK Priest to perform live as much as they want. But whether they will do it or not, well, I guess we'll see very, very soon. But in all honesty, the coolest thing about this tour, at least so far, is to see the interaction between the two bands on the stage. I mean, it is no secret that Wolf Hoffman has been vastly influenced by Judas Priest and specifically KK Downing. I mean, he said it himself in multiple interviews.
Good, very good. What a pro, what a pro.
Credit where credit's due.
And even more, it is Judas Priest who have taken Accept on their first major tour back in 1981. The tour which have taken a rather popular Accept to an absolutely new level pretty much all around Europe. So it is especially great to see the legendary KK Downing and Wolf Hoffman on the road once again today in 2024. No, not like that. It is a blessing that we're still able to see these two guitarists on stage today in 2024. And what I think would be extremely cool if that by the end of this tour, or by the time the two bands co-headline the Mexico Metal Fest later this year, KK Downing and Wolf Hoffman would go up on stage and perform a song or two together. You know, like make a cover on Black Sabbath or something like this, which in my opinion would be just a perfect way to end this run. And now on to everyone's favorite question about who is the truest of the true and which bands are and are not worthy of being seen live. Now, I'm not even going to talk about Tim Ripper Owens and Mark Tornillo, both of whom are incredible vocalists, and I actually think that they are some of the best out there when it comes to classic heavy metal. We're talking about any other musicians in both of those bands, but just the whole idea of being able to see KK Downing and Wolf Hoffman together on the same tour, at least to me, makes the decision of whether to see this tour or not an absolute no-brainer. And those who are not new to the show know that I'm a huge Judas Priest fan, so maybe that's why, at least to me, the more Priest there is, the better it is. And actually, pretty much every die-hard Judas Priest fan I've spoken to in the past couple of years shares my opinion on this one. So the whole idea that the North American fans have a chance of experiencing not just 15 Judas Priest songs or 18 Judas Priest songs they would do, you know, at a concert, but more than 30 in a span of just a couple of days or sometimes weeks is pretty damn cool. And then there's Iron Maiden coming to most of those towns as well, just a couple of weeks after that. So if you do live in North America and you're able to attend all of those tours this year, well, please do share your experience with us so that the rest of us can shed a tear of joy. But anyways, what do you guys personally think about the KK Priest and Accept tour? Please let us know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching the short video, guys, but more than anything, thank you so much for supporting me, this show, and Ukraine through this very, very difficult time. We'll prevail. Slava Ukraini!